Since 2010, Blue Bloods has been a consistent Friday night staple, telling the story of the Reagans, a close-knit family of modest people who also happen to govern law enforcement in Gotham. Frank Reagan is played by TV veteran Tom Selleck, whose father is former police commissioner Henry Reagan, and Frank's 3 children are all associated with the law. To put it another way, their blood is blue. Here are the moments that permanently transformed the show. Firstly, the show isn't what it used to be. If you enjoyed TV shows at all, you've undoubtedly seen Blue Bloods, a CBS police procedural program. This has become one of the most popular police programs of all time, ranking with classics such as T.J. Hooker and Hill Street Blues. The show has been running for several years, starting in 2010. While the primary characters have generally remained the same, there have been several significant alterations to the series that distinguish it from previous seasons. Blue Bloods has always been a fascinating show, with experienced actor Tom Selleck as the show's host. In truth, the entire cast also seems to have been destined to perform in this drama. That's how fantastic they are. When you're watching, it's easy to forget you're watching a written drama. It's just really effortless to become involved. You can relate to the characters, which is one of the reasons why it's so effortless. When it comes to comprehending the difference between good and wrong, they have a solid basis. They take responsibility for their decisions, even if they're controversial. They uphold the principles that are seen as crucial in leading a life of dignity and integrity. They do, however, have challenges. They have their own demons, many of which are brought on by grief. They're human, and they struggle with the judgments they're compelled to make on a regular basis. This is the show's core premise, and it hasn't changed since the first episode aired. Next, we have storyline changes. The 2 Reagan children, as well as Nikki Reagan, the daughter of ADA Aaron Reagan, who is the only member of the clan who did not become a cop, have virtually grown up in the series. Storylines had to be adjusted as they grew older in order to suit them. The continuous plot arc with Nikki has been one of the most engaging storylines. During the first few episodes of the series, she devoted much of her time to dealing with her mother and father's divorce, and she wasn't sure which parent she would have to live with at times. As the series progressed, the focus shifted to her choices about her own destiny and how they affected individuals she cared about. Next, we have Amy Carlsons' departure. The departure of Danny Reagan's wife, Linda, played by Amy Carlson, is one of the most noticeable changes. She was originally intended to be a recurring character who would appear in only certain episodes and not in others. She had become one of the major characters after a few seasons. There was something about her that attracted many of us in the audience. She was devoted to many things, but none more so than bringing her family together again and keeping them protected. She worked as a nurse at a big hospital and understood the difficulties of working shifts and answering a call to serve a greater cause than herself. But she didn't always side with her husband and was never afraid to disagree with him until it mattered. She was missing from the cast at the start of season 8. That's when she found out she'd been fired from the series. Her role had been killed off, and fans and the rest of the cast grieved her loss, as if she had died because of how fond the audience had grown of her character. Her not being in the show changed the dynamic of the series dramatically. Next, the Reagan family dinners. The family supper is probably the most well-known and popular Blue Bloods constant. Almost every episode contains one, and it helps sustain the series' sense of family, which is a major theme. The family dinners, on the other hand, take up to 5 hours to shoot. It takes time to get close-up shots and coverage of 9 distinct characters, as well as to reset the table and the food after each shot to preserve consistency. During prolonged filming, the performers go a bit stir-crazy and respond in a variety of ways. Bridget Moynihan cracks up as Donnie Wahlberg needs to snooze on the living room sofa set beside the dining set after eating the pretend meal all day. But the fact of the matter is, these iconic dinners have changed with time and completely changed the feel of the show because of it. What changed? Until the 8th season of the show, the Reagans kept their family ritual of dinners and the secrets they divulged over those dinners. In season 8, though, viewers discovered that something wasn't quite right. The family members didn't say grace, which is odd given that the season opens up just after Linda's death. Because of her absence, the seating arrangement around the table has to be adjusted. I fell asleep. I had no idea the prayers had been taken away. This isn't good. The family's religion is what keeps them going. But hey, don't worry about me, a fan tweeted. Despite the fact that this transition began in season 8, people are still observing it. Following the conclusion of the first episode of season 8, people questioned the change in the show. The reason for the show's changes to the family meal sequences has yet to be explained. Perhaps the prayers were omitted due to time constraints, or perhaps there was some comment on their inclusion. In any case, the Reagan tradition has been changed forever. Now for some controversies that changed the show. A spectator obtained footage of George Floyd being killed by a police officer on May 25th. Protests occurred around the country as a result of the video's widespread broadcast. They quickly spread over the globe. The concerns of police brutality and systematic racism were thrust into the spotlight, forcing many individuals who had previously been able to ignore them to confront them. This covered television series as well. People began to wonder if television police dramas were contributing to the problem, as the manner in which officers deal with various cultures became more scrutinized. On television, cops are frequently portrayed as the nice guys. Even when their activities are brutal, they justify them in the name of law and order. Even cops who disobey the law are frequently made to appear heroic, since their cause is deemed to be noble. Despite the fact that Blue Bloods has addressed the topic of police brutality, the show does not appear to be relevant in today's atmosphere. Questions emerged regarding whether these shows were part of the system that allows injustice to exist, as well as what might be done about it. Let's talk about JenniferEspositos' exit. Jennifer Esposito was one of the first cast members of Blue Bloods, portraying Detective Jackie Curatola. But early in production on the show's third season in 2012, she fell on the set. It was a flare-up of celiac disease, which she had been suffering from for years. It's a chronic allergy to gluten, which is present in bread and cereals and causes a variety of symptoms, including passing out. Esposito's doctor advised her to take a week off for medical reasons, which she did. According to Esposito, CBS didn't believe she was truly ill and that she was deliberately taking time off to receive a raise. Apparently, Jennifer had informed them that she was available to work only on a very limited part-time schedule, which the network responded to by firing her immediately. According to reports, she was unable to fulfill the requirements of her position. The abrupt departure of her Blue Bloods character, Detective Curatola, would be explained by her taking a leave of absence, according to the press statement. Megan Boone was chosen to fill the gap, and Esposito weighed in on Twitter by bashing CBS for casting out the minority so they could have a cast that was all white, like CSI. Next, religious controversy. The Catholic League, a Catholic advocacy organization, previously commended Blue Bloods as one of the very few TV series that treats Catholicism properly. This is due to the fact that straight-laced Frank Reagan has been portrayed as a devout churchgoer. All of that changed in 2014, when Catholic League President Bill Donahue said his group had been bombarded with complaints following an incident in which Frank indicated the Catholic Church was a touch behind the times on LGBT issues. An outed lesbian nun and a cardinal dealing with his sexual identity were also portrayed in the show. Walter Donahue claimed that CBS was moving on its viewers and that the network was committing suicide by attacking Catholics, rightfully so. Lastly, CBS's solution. According to TV Line, CBS engaged a group of different specialists to assist with their writing teams. They were essentially a diverse and seasoned group of experts who had worked with local, state, and federal authorities and communities to promote 21st century policing and were to oversee some of the country's most significant police reform programs. In the areas of police reform and public safety, they encompass former law enforcement, civil rights researchers, attorneys, and community leaders. The network hopes that this group can assist them in forging a new path ahead. Blue Bloods, as Donnie Wahlberg pointed out, are well suited to debating various points of view. Because of the different family members' differing opinions, the show is able to see the world from many perspectives, which he hoped would also help them deal with the challenges that swept the nation in 2020 amidst the pandemic. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video.